Aunt Leon is their grandmother, and
My
Luella,
mother.
yeah, his mother, and, because Aunt Noni is their mom, and Denny's sister, and, so my mom was first cousins with Aunt Noni, with their mother.
Well,
And
you
then
got
they-
me confused.
Well, and you know this story, and then they married, they were first cousins, and they married brothers, the Lindquist boys. And, so, there were just two of them, that was enough. That was enough. And so first cousins married brothers. And, so 3 out of 4 of our ancestors are the same, and so we're cousins in a half.
Seems to be a common theme in this family.
And so she's kind of halfway given mine, but anyway, so I am Lori Hunter, Wes Lindquist, and my son Ryan, this is my oldest son, he just walked in, so we all live in Joplin, so this is Ryan, and I have 2 other sons, Drew and Blake, but they're obviously not here. But anyway, my parents were Vernon and Winona Lindquist. Winona my mother was an Oaks, Uncle Denny's sister, as I said, and then her mother was Leon Forbes Oaks, yeah. And so I was talking to Melissa a while ago, and my mom and dad bought her great-grandmother or grandmother's car?
Great-grandma.
Your great-grandmother's car, so my mom drove that for a while. And actually, my dad is actually buried next to, is it Twyla Sue? Is that?
Yes, that's my
Sue?
grandma.
Yeah. So my dad and Twyla Sue are buried right next to each other, so
Okay.
in the cemetery. So, anyway, so, I don't know, I was raised in the Joplin, so but we would go every summer on the weekends, we would go down to Linda's house, Uncle Bill and Aunt Velma's house, and swim at the creek, love swimming at the creek. And, now we get to go to a different part of the creek with Uncle Denny and Valerie and them, their place on the creek. So I love McDonald County.
And could I say something else real quick? I actually own land in McDonald County now that is across the creek from where Uncle Mark homesteaded.
Oh, wow.
I got a field right across from me that Uncle Martin and Nellie homesteaded.
Oh, I'd love to come take pictures.
Yeah, now you can't access it, you have to access it from across the creek.
The creek,
You know, cause you
okay.
can't get there, even though it's right across, you have to go around the world to get to it, you know. But, yeah, I look across the creek to Uncle Martin and Nellie's old homestead, isn't that something?
Yeah.
And then right up the road, and across the road is where Theresa was born. And then, the old Forbes homestead is in our family, it, belongs to our family, the old Forbes homestead, and it's gone, but in the springtime, where Grandma and Grandpa Forbes homesteaded, the flowers still bloom there, you know, and all that.
Where is that at?
It's on Meadow Road, and and
Okay.
if you follow it, it comes out at the Rock House. on-
Yeah, so I was gonna say, you,
Yeah.
from your place, if you just go up a little bit and then up the hollow, up Meadow Road, you come out on top of the rock house where
Yeah,
Leon.
and then there's a little bit of a foundation where Uncle Carl and Aunt Pearl lived, and that house burned down, so that's all on County Ridge Road, not County Ridge, Meadow Road. Yeah. So there's still a lot of remnants from the Forbes families down there.
And the land is still in the family.
That piece is not, I don't think, I think Meadows on that, where Uncle Carl and Aunt Pearl on it. But now where the Forbes is homesteaded, we still, the land is son.
You own it.
Now
Or
something,
that part of the family, Verling's son.
something you might not know is where the cabins are down at the creek where, you know, my parents own the cabin, whatever. If you go back up on that farm a little bit towards where the old house was, there's kind of a cemetery that's back down in the woods there a little bit. You have to know where it's at. There are no stones that are marked, they're just rocks and whatever, and some yucca plants coming up. And the woods all grown up around it. But my understanding is that the people who were buried in that cemetery were Medders.
Well, there's a stone that has Meadows.
Yeah, but.
Yeah, so when they figured out who it was, they put a brick down there that said Medder, but it's, those are Medders that are buried there as well, so yeah.
And weren't they killed in the Civil War? That's what I was told, I don't know.
He was off to war, and that was a real big Union versus Confederate war area, and.
Well, because in the old McDonough County history book, one of the Cowans was in a Union picket that ran into a Confederate picket at Granny's Branch, and they had a little run and gun battle right down there at Granny's Branch. but one of the Cowans was on the Union side in that little skirmish.
And Martinelli was, were right up above.
So there's still access to a lot of the old family land we still own.
There used to be a thriving little grocery store at Cyclone.
Yes.
And that's where my parents went, was in the Cyclone store and post office.
Isn't that where they have the, we used to go across the hanging bridge?
Yeah, there was
Wasn't
a
that
swinging
there?
bridge.
The swinging bridge, I
Yeah,
guess is what
it's
they
not
call
there
it.
anymore, but the steps are still there.
Oh, they
Yeah,
are?
you will still see the concrete steps.
And I guess, what was that put there for, to get to that mill or?
Probably so.
Well, and when it flooded, you know,
They
when
could-
the
oh, they
bridge
had a way
flooded,
across.
they could cross it.
Because people relied on the mill and the store and everything from both sides of the creek.
Yeah, that used to be a pretty busy little grocery store.
Yeah.
And if anybody's interested, there's a 1939 color movie made about Jesse James, and one of the scenes was filmed right there at Cyclone, right on the creek bank.
My birth certificate says Cyclone, Missouri. How many people could say that?
Well,
Well,
yeah,
said
that
that.
was.
Mine does too.
Yeah.
Mine says Cyclone.
So, I'll ask one more question now, shut up, but Mom had told me that Beanblock, is it Beanblock?
Beantown.
Beantown, they used to, somebody, the movie company would come through and they would spread out a big old sheet, and I think it was a nickel, you could watch a movie, and it was, do you
I've
remember
been
that,
there.
Janet?
Oh, yeah.
No, I don't
Uh,
know.
and.
They used to have outdoor
Big.
movies there, and then they had outdoor movies up on 76 highway where Cook's store used to be.
Okay,
Up on 76, they had outdoor movies.
so they have, was it silent movies or sound?
Well, no, they had sound.
Okay, so we weren't that far back.
I attended a lot of those movies there.
I didn't know
When
about that.
when the folks would let me go.
But a nickel back then, I mean, the nickel just wasn't that easy to
Well,
come
I don't
by.
think they even charged back then.
Oh, really?
Where they had the one there at Cook's store, they didn't charge me.
Oh,
I
really?
hadn't heard that one.
You hadn't heard that?
Because out
Cook's
some
store?
big sheets.
You remember where Cook's store used to be?
Yeah.
Well, they used to have they had an outdoor screen, they set it up out behind the store there. Yeah, I used to walk over there when Dad would let me go, you know. I'd walk over and watch a movie.
Well, so is Beantown still there?
Yeah, there's not a store in town, but there's a little settlement, pickup cabins.
Building.
Oh, really? Does it say Beantown or anything?
Yep. There's a hand painted sign out there that says Beantown, USA, I think.
Oh,
So-
Yeah.
Probably go down there.
Yeah.
Yes, I even know where that's at.
You're wrong back. A week or so ago, we.
The mayor of Beantown?
Yeah.
There is a mayor?
She said she was, I'm like.
How big is it?
13.
Probably one.
There used to be, there was a thriving little grocery store in Cyclone, a post office and everything there, you know.
You got a picture down there of the old store.
Is that what?
It's taken from the bluff, it's taken from on top of the bluff, and you can see the low water bridge, you can see the dam, and then you can see the store on the other side.
The one on the.
Uh-huh.
Okay, it's in the floor.
And it's still there?
No, we got a picture that shows it, an old picture that shows it. At Cyclone.
So
It's taken on the
Beantown-
bluff across the creek looking down.
Really?
Mhm. Yeah, it's in the cabin down there.
Who took the picture?
We don't know.
I don't know, but I have it. Where's Beantown? Is that Cyclone, the same thing?
No, it was on the.
It's E Highway.
It's
Oh,
north
we
of
got
Powell.
it. Okay, got
Yeah,
it. We got you.
It's that little 4 or 5 houses right there on the
Okay, I
bank.
know where it is. You pull the camper up at the creek coming up.
They had little cabins and we'd go down there and spend, go fishing and
Yeah,
stuff.
I know where it is.
And Annie Detweiler.
Oh,
You remember her?
I do.
She lived in one of those cabins for,
I remember that name. Was she related?
She is, and in Mom's book, it can tell you how.
Oh, really?
Because I just read across that, I didn't remember, in a letter.
She lived in Pratt, Kansas.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I read, okay.
And Annie,
Aunt Annie, yeah.
And Iuka Avenue is.
She come visit Granny and Granddad all the time. But Aunt Annie always had white gloves in her purse.
Yeah.
And every morning, she pulled them out, and every evening, she pulled them out, put on and off her nylons. And that way her nylons
Well, hey, you
lasted
don't-
forever.
Yeah.
So how is she related to the whole bunch?
Okay, was she at Alice? Tell us, Linda, Aunt
Well,
Anna.
I think that
Did she belong to Aunt Alice?
No, I think she was Grandpa
got it.
Forbes's by another, a previous marriage maybe?
No, that was Jess and Kit and
I'm not sure how she was.
Elmer
Who's talking
and.
about?
There's too many
And
Grandpa Forbes, that's a
and-
mystery.
and-
You really need, when you say Grandpa Forbes, you need to say your grandpa's name.
Yeah. That's why I said that about Julia Edifor.
Yes, I remember Pete and I both had measles at the same time, so there was, two of those old ladies came, and one of them said, you gotta open the the curtains on the windows, they need sunlight. The other one said, no, you gotta keep the windows dark, cover all the windows. And one said, you gotta cover them up, and the other one said, no, take the covers off of them. And we were both so sick, and they stood there and argued about what we needed, covers or not, or dark or light, and we were so sick. Now, that's all I remember.
It's hysterical.
I remember when I had the measles over in Germany, they said we had to be in a doctor.
Yeah.
I think that was probably the correct
Oh,
answer.
and I got it when I was 16, and I mean, we were really sick, and those two little old ladies stood there, and what they wanted to say, they wanted to say the opposite. It was like, please, we are so sick.
Do you remember when you were little, Granddad Oaks getting on to Aunt Annie? Because I remember, I leave the book there, but which one it was, but she was teaching, telling you something different than what he believed, and he's, the only time I ever saw him get upset, he shook his finger at her and he said, now, Aunt Annie, don't you be teaching my granddaughters. And that was one of those traumatizing things. I remember.
How they were related.
Was she a Fisher?
Annie didn't like her.
Yeah, I think she may have been a Fisher.
I think she was a Fisher.
Well, the Fishers, that was Julietta's, well,
She
was possibly Julietta's father. or
She went by all those names.
Anna did?
No, Grandma Julia.
Oh.
But she was really a Fisher.
You're kind of stuck.
We stalled out.
Joe's turn? Yeah. All right, you wanna tell about yourself, Joe?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell about yourself. Tell who you are. This is my brother Joe.
Okay.
He
Okay.
lived in Florida for how many years?
Granny,
33 years, out of college, he moved to St. Petersburg, so he
had
was
four
raised there,
brothers,
they were
right?
raised there, but he
There's
lived
nine
in
of them
St.
in the
Petersburg.
family.
right, but I mean full brothers.
Okay, there was, when Francis Forbes was married to his first wife, her name was Julia also, so it causes confusion. She was Julia Ann Holloway Garvey Forbes. And their children were Ida de Jeanette, which was Nettie Forbes Hopper, John Forbes, Catherine, which went by Kit, William Elmer, which went by Elmer, and Jess, who just went by Jess. And then Julia had Alice, Maria Russell, and Edward, I don't even know how to say that name that begins with D, Russell. And those were her children when she married Grandpa Forbes. So there were,
And this was Aunt Alice.
there were 5 that belonged to Francis, 2 that belonged to Julia. And then they got married and had Hale, Luella, Mart, Eva Mae Leon, which was my grandmother, Monty, yeah, that was your mother, Monty, Marion Oliver, and Carl.
Is that
Henry.
14? Is that up to 14 that I'm counting now?
Yeah, so there
Well, but there was
were,
one
there
more.
were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that belong to Julia, Etta, and Grandpa Forbes together.
Well, I guess the one I'm thinking of was a stepchild from
Which one?
Grandpa's first marriage.
I didn't think it was that.
Her name was Nancy.
Nancy, I don't have Nancy.
Nancy is who Julia Garvey had before she and Grandpa.
Say that again.
Nancy was who Julia Garvey had before.
Okay, so she had a child
So
that wouldn't
that
have
would be a
been
step.
related to the Forbes,
Not
she
blood.
would have been a
Just
step, yeah. Yeah, there was a whole bunch of them, but I remember Jess, and Jess is in some of these pictures of them.
He is, and he's down back there.
I don't know, I will have to work on, I've got it, but I'm too much to remember, yes.
Yeah, but I remember she was a character.
Yeah, she was.
I think Carol's next, right?
Okay, Carol,
Carol?
moving on.
That'd be a little easier.
Tell who you belong to. Carol?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I'm Carol Oaks. I belong to Forest Lake Oaks.
Okay.
And Aletha's my sister. Most of you know that. And I pastor a church at Granby Gospel Tabernacle at the present time. Live in Granby. Lived 30 years in Middle Tennessee. Grew up around McDonald County, Sugar Creek. Fact is, I met a bunch of Coopers out there in Middle Tennessee that lived down in Powell.
Oh, really?
Joe Cooper and his sister. And talking about Aunt Anna. She had a house down there in the hills, didn't she?
They said she lived at Beantown for a while.
Oh, I don't know where it was, but I just know, I went with Granny and Granddad down to that place down in the hills, and Billy, her boy, he and I started walking, and we took off across the hollers and the hills down there, came up at Uncle Ned's house. There was Billy Ray on the back porch shaving. Had no idea how we just walked. I don't know, somewhere over there. And,
That would have been a long walk.
what?
I said, that was a long walk. She evidently had some other place, cause that would have been a long way from Beantown.
Well, there was a small house, and Billy was there, and so he and I went exploring. And anything else you need to know, this is my wife Gaither.
2 kids.
She's from the Panhandle of Oklahoma. Farmer girl. Brought her down to these hills, and she fell in love with the trees.
Oh, yeah.
So guess who stayed here?
Carol has 2 kids.
I have two children, Glenn and Carrie, his wife, and grandson Cooper live in Joplin. And then Darla lives at Baxter Springs. She works in the college there at BC. Anything factual that you need to know?
What's your earliest memory of Granddad and Granny's house?
Well, I was with them when we went down and stayed in the old house up behind where the cabins are now down there. And then I can remember him building that rock house out on 76 because I was there putting stuff up on the outside. Putting rock to it. And, so I go back quite a way, I reckon.
Okay, Joe, you're next.
Okay, I'm Joe Nanchett, and Joanne Forbes Wiley Cooper, my mother. She was born Joanne Forbes, and then she married my dad, and there was double relation there too. Nephew and uncle married sisters, Aunt Aline.
Yeah.
Okay, say that again now, let's get that straight.
Yeah, Uncle Glenn, who married Aunt Aline.
Okay.
Uncle Glenn and my dad, you know, it's Uncle Glenn.
Right, Uncle Glenn
And Mom and Eileen were sisters.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Yeah, one time they came to visit a church and they asked if there were any visitors, and Mom popped up and said, "This is my sister Eileen and her husband from California." And my dad
popped up as soon as she sat down and said, and this is my uncle and his wife.
And so the, kind of one of the funny things is that, when my wife and I got married, we completed a loop. So my wife is related to Joe because Glenn Wiley is her great uncle, but then I'm related through the Forbes. And so we kind of are related on both sides of the family.
Her mother was Marie.
Marie Stodovan is my wife's grandmother.
And she was a wife.
And she was a Wiley.
I mean, we're all intermarried.
Marie Stodovan, who was Marie Wiley.
Glenn Wiley?
Yeah.
Marie Stodovan and Glenn Wiley were brother and sister, is that
Yeah, Marie
right?
and Glenn.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
Wow,
so-
you did
Marie,
complete it.
Yeah, we
and
completed a
Marlon.
loop. So we brought the Wileys and the Forbes together again in another generation. So,
Wow.
yeah.
See what happens when you have family reunions? Maybe we shouldn't do this anymore, but anyway, my grandfather is Martin Forbes, and Aunt Leon, who I did not know her name was
Eva May.
I did not know that until I got Mom's books out.
Had no idea.
I thought, what a beautiful name. But anyway,
Did they pronounce it Eva or Eva?
I don't
I always
know.
thought it was Evan.
I've never heard it.
I just always heard her name Leon.
That's the way with me, I didn't know.
Eva, it was Eva.
So anyway, and I'll let you know, so we're cousins, that's all.
So I think your mom told me that the Forbes were silversmiths, is that right?
Yes, and there's a whole book of some of their work over here.
Okay.
And she bought some of the spoons on eBay, she.
Oh, really?
Mhm, they're down at the
And-
cabin.
Well,
And then
now,
Forbes
who were
spices.
the- I mean, who was the silversmiths? Which
Well,
one?
it's all written in.
Okay.
Abraham and. there's
So
a
it was
whole-
way back that they
Way
did
back,
it.
yeah, and there were 3 or 4 generations of them.
I think she
And
told
there's
me.
actually a piece that was made by one of them in the White House.
That's what I was gonna say.
I mean,
Wow.
so, but anyway, it gets pretty, and what I was gonna say earlier was where the cabins are now, that, up the hill, that's Grandma and Grandpa Martin and Nellie lived up there when their first 3 girls were younger. I don't know exactly when, but they owned that property up the hill there. But then they later owned, where the rock house is.
Okay,
Okay, where Mama put her tooth in the hole.
yes.
So Martinelli had the house up at the top of the hill there by the cabins? Is that what you said? Okay.
And that, the barn foundation's still there, the house, there's just rocks
Well, there's,
from the cellar.
yeah, the rock cellars.
So remind me who Martinelli's children were. You had
Well, and Aline and, Fressa
Russell.
Mm-hmm.
and, Dorothy and Jimmy and Al and
Your mom.
my mom.
Mm-hmm.
Who am I missing, Scott?
You got them all.
You got them all. Okay.
They had a baby, but he passed away, and I don't know that they ever named
I
him.
They
don't-
did.
They
His
did?
name was Francis, and then
Yes.
Dad was born, and they named him Francis.
Well, I know.
Yes.
Mom's got notes in here saying there were 3 Francis Asburys. Now, why do we keep doing that? You guys? Because then it just makes it so confusing. But anyway. so-
Your mom and my grandma, who is much like my mom, they would tell me the funniest stories, and I thought these women were just off their rockers way back then. They would go, they would talk about their floating trips on the creek and how they would end up and they caused all kinds of trouble, y'all. I didn't know they were just crazy people. But yeah, I loved hearing those stories.
Oh, yes. Mom used to tell a story about Aunt Tressa. She was older than Mama, more like
Yes.
a mother than sister at the beginning. And she would wrap Mama in an old red sweater, wrap her up and just rock her and comfort her when she was hurt. And later on in life, Mama would say, I just wish I could, be wrapped in Tressa's old red sweater. And be rocked."
Yeah, Grandma Kurt always, and I keep referring to her as Grandma Kurt because that's what I always knew her as, but Grandma Theresa, she always said that she was the mother of the bunch because Aline had moved on and Aunt Joanne was how many years younger?
I
She
don't
was
know, I'd have to- well,
13, 14.
Something like that, yes. I mean,
And,
it's
yeah.
She and Jimmy and.
So, and yes, sir.
Your grandpa Kurt taught me how to get rid of stray dogs.
Shoot them?
No, don't shoot them. You get a metal coffee can. Get a wire, like a TV wire, strip it apart, and strip it, and wrap it around that can. Take and spread water out there, put food in that can, set it, and then go plug it into the socket.
It sounds like Grandpa.
Stray dog real quick. That's when I lived in Southwest City, he taught me that.
You lived in Southwest City as well?
He did.
Oh, okay. Yep. They had
We went and visited down there.
yes, in fact, one of my uncles on the Loftus side still resides in their old farm down there.
Aw.
So, yeah. That's pretty neat.
I can remember one time we took, I had a 72 Pontiac Catalina, and I took a bunch of, Jody's mom and grandson, and who else?
Aunt Dorothy? I don't think any of the boys went, I
I don't think so.
It's
We
all
took them all to
girls.
Greeley, Colorado to see Martinelli out there. And
That's my
then-
husband Lonnie.
Yeah, no, when we drove back, you know, they was, you know, the girls, when they stopped at a restaurant, or a gas station or something like that, not all of them would leave the car at one time. They would, you know, go and come back, the other one would go and come back and everything else, but it turned out that Martinelli, Nellie would save up money, you know, in cash and have it hid somewhere at the house, but anyway, she had split all this money up between, so much money up between all the girls, so they came back with all this money in the car, you know, and I didn't know
He
anything about
didn't
it.
know, but the driver didn't know.
They just all just didn't get out. You know, and as for yours, I remember doing that with trash cans, when the dogs get in the trash cans, we did that.
Didn't Nellie grow up, you know, at the top of what I call Cyclone Hills? Was that Aunt Nellie's homestead, was her name Hopper or Hopkins?
Hopkins.
She was a Hopkins.
Was that their homestead at the top of the?
I'd have to show you the road, but I mean, there were maples involved too, and when her mother died young, and, you know, Grandpa remarried, but Grandma Nellie is the one who told the story about the three of them. There was Nellie and Annie and, Lee, and they were by themselves, like kids were, you know, and there were some gypsies in the area, and their daddy told them, don't you have anything to do with those gypsies. Well, they'd had a litter of kittens that had come just recently, and they decided they were gonna doctor those kittens. And they got the little medicine, you know, patent medicines out, and they gave stuff to those poor kittens. And Grandma said that after a little while, those kittens just went crazy. She said they started running and just climbing curtains, and and then they died. And they didn't know what to tell their dad. And so when he came, he told them they told him the gypsies had come by. And he went up the road looking for the gypsies. So we've all had our honest spells in life.
I thought, you know, there by where the road says Whispering Cedars, like across the road there, kind of on that curve, that maybe is where her old home place was.
Well, I know that, I don't think that was the Hopkins. I mean, I know that she and Grandpa, Mark, lived up back behind the cabins when Thresta and Eileen and Dorothy. Mama hadn't been born yet, or Al or Jim.
Well, I was thinking that's where Aunt Nellie, when she was
Well,
young.
they may have gotten it from her family or something.
Yeah, cause I'd always heard that was the old Hopkins.
Well, they may have gotten it from that. I'd have to go look at that.
And I think that might be in that one book where Martinelli, have you read that page in that red book that's on the table about how Martinelli met?
No, Mama's put a picture of where they
Well,
met
she
at
wrote
Natural
an
Bridge.
article, that they met at a spring, getting a drink, that she was coming from one direction, he was from another, and they stopped to get a drink.
No, that was Lynn Allen. He asked her to marry or something at Natural Bridge.
No, this, and I feel like it was at my spring, there at the Harvey place, because he was coming from one direction, she was coming from another, and the way it was described, and they stopped to get a drink together, but her parents were upset because he was one religion and she was another.
Okay, the Pentecostal Baptist.
Yeah.
And at one point, he said, if I could get a hold of all those Pentecostals, I'd just pinch their heads.
There's something in that red book over there.
But later, I mean, his grandma's parents wouldn't speak to her for years because she married him. But later, they grew very close and loved one
Yes.
another. So they're all okay, but.
It's in the red book, but it said something about the, and where he would have come, and where she would, I thought that was her home place, and I think it was at my school, or they went.
I've got that,
Yeah,
yeah.
you'll have to read that because it sounded like,
Yes.
because I've got that huge spring there at the Harvey place that never goes dry, and I think that's where they met to get
I
married.
think you're right.
So anyway,
Anyway,
sorry.
so I talked way too much.
Yeah, well, I did too, so.
We've got plenty of time.
Okay, girls, you're next.
I'm Vanessa. Denny and Karen are my parents, and George Lester and Eva May Leon were my grandparents. I don't really remember her very much because I was only 4 when she passed away. But I have a faint memory of her holding me and rocking me and praying. But really, I don't remember much, but I remember playing with a braid. I think she had a long braid.
Well, only at night, it was wrapped around her head the rest of the time.
Okay.
She was beautiful. She had her skin, because she wore hats, she had this slap bonnets, and she never got sun on her face. And I remember when she died, she looked so young. I mean, her skin was just like porcelain. She was beautiful.
There's a picture of her on that table up there. The lady alone is Eva May Leon, and she was probably a teenager then.
And in the picture, she has very long braids.
Yes. Well, no, there's one with long braids, one with her hair up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what did she die of?
Cancer.
Of what?
They didn't know, but you could smell it. It was cancer. Do you know what it was, where it was in her body, Lori?
No, I don't.
I always felt it was stomach.
Because she wouldn't go to the doctor, so they didn't know.
Yeah, she didn't go to the doctor.
She was 72.
And how old was your mom when she said? Oh, she was just 6, I thought they were closer to the
Her
same
skin
age.
was just like porcelain. I mean, she was so pretty. I mean, it just was.
Was she very soft spoken?
Yeah, oh yeah,
Very
she was,
soft
and she was so
spoken.
lovely. I
And
mean,
just
a
sweet.
perfect lady, just so lovely. Just beautiful and kind and do you remember? Not alive. I remember, and so, her skin was just like a China doll.
Granny loved to whistle. And that's probably where my dad got his habit coming from her.
Well, Mark loved to whistle, so I wonder if that's where Grandpa,
Sure.
I mean, they were whistling
Granny
parties.
loved to whistle.
Granny whistling.
When the curling hounds go, whistling girl and a curling kid.
Always time to sub that in.
Say it again.
Well, we said it different ways. You say it.
Well, I used to
Whistling women.
Whistling girl and growing in will always come to some band.
No band.
Yeah,
That's why we left.
I used to whistle too.
Granny told me that when she was young, she had a beautiful voice. And she would sing at church, but then she got to where she didn't want to. And she said, the Lord took my voice away, because Granny talked with a real wavery voice, if you remember. And so then she started whistling, and she would whistle specials when she was at church some. And she could whistle really pretty, so.
Did she
yeah.
have the quavering voice? I don't know that. Now, Mama's voice quavered when she got older.
Yeah, Granny's was kind of quavery, if I remember right. Valerie, do you want to do it next?
Oh, anyway, this is my husband Selden,
Yeah.
and he's not from these parts.
Mine's a Yankee, is yours a Yankee?
Yes, he's from West Virginia.
Well, he's from Detroit, so.
That's a foreign country.
Yeah. I'm Vanessa.
Nicaragua beat that.
Oh, wow, yeah. Vanessa's sister, twins.
Sorry,
And
Margaret.
Denny and Karen are my parents. And so George Lester and Eva Mae Leon were my grandparents. And, my husband Craig is at the creek, where we all go and, you know, grew up. I guess where they grew up. And he couldn't come because our dog's with us and it's too hot to leave him in the car. But, our camper is down there.
Tell him
and-
thank you.
Yes, and we have a little bit of we think we might have a little water leak under the sink, so we didn't have the water up this time. So, in keeping with the tradition of my father when he was young, I took a bath in Big Sugar Creek this morning. Washed my hair and all, so, in the creek.
Oh. We used to do that all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
Valerie, I would have told you where there's a key. You could have gotten the house.
I thought, I mean, can you tell it's
No,
washed
it's
in creek
fine.
water?
It's really good.
It always feels so much better.
It does feel pretty good, actually. Scott's next.
My name is Scott Forbes, as a lot of you know, and Martin Forbes was my grandfather, Martin and Nellie. My father was Al, who was known as Sonny. Just about everybody in this family knew him as Sonny. I don't think they even knew he had a name other than Sonny. So, yeah, I remember a lot about my grandparents. We used to go back to Greeley every year and visit them. And anybody who was ever there will probably remember a few things, like Grandpa's burglar alarm he had on the back door, which was a string tied around the doorknob that went up to a hook that went to an alarm clock on a shelf. And you pull the button out on the alarm clock to make it ring. That was their burglar alarm. They always had 10,000 condiments on the table. I mean, all the time. And one very specific memory I have, they had a chicken house in the back, in the yard, and he'd go out there and collect eggs every evening, and I'd walk back there with him. One night we were walking back there, and he was passing gas, and he looks down at me, he says, "I'm full of the farts today, Scotty, how about you?" But yeah, he was a pretty amazing man. A craftsman. I mean, he built miniatures, and boy, when Grandma passed, it was really tough on him. He moved out to California for a while and lived with Allie and Glenn out in Salinas, and I swear there's probably 1,000 trees out there that have the double heart carved into them that he always did, and he'd take $50 and he'd scratch the double heart in them and give them to us. And, yeah, he missed her very badly after she was gone. But yeah, we used to come down here, maybe every other year when we go back to Colorado, and have some great memories down here too. I mean, always enjoyed coming down here. Moved back here about 20 years ago, and I love living here. It's great. I can understand why my dad came back. It's a great part of the country. Great people. That's my wife, Susan. And we don't have any children together, but I do have 2 daughters in California, and I have 4 grandkids. And they're all out in California, and I go see them a couple times a year. But, yeah.
Your brother's in the ocean.
Oh yeah, my brother Dan. I don't know whether he didn't get word on it, or whether it was too late when he got word, or I don't know. I don't keep track of him. I want to ask you something, Joe. What was the story between my dad and your mom with the broken arm thing? Do you remember that?
You know, I don't remember the broken arm. I remember the butcher knife when she was peeling apples, and he kept reaching in
Yeah.
to get apple slices, and she whacked him with a knife and cut him.
Oh,
Because she said, "I don't even quit."
I mean, one or the other accused the other one of breaking their arm.
Mom got accused of breaking his arm.
Yeah.
And, well, I can see why, she was cutting him with a butcher knife.
Yeah.
She swore to me she never did. That's all I know about that. She said, but I did, I swear.
Well, my dad took Jimmy down in the basement of that rock house and rubbed dried pepper all over his face, and he had like third-degree burns.
Oh my goodness.
Jimmy, that the one that lived in Georgia?
Jim Forbes.
I can remember hauling Grandpa Forbes down there in the truck when he went down to stay with Jimmy for a while. Now I'll tell you another story about your dad, Scott. The one time when Lloyd had that 67 GMC half-ton pickup,
Oh, yes.
we took and dropped the girls off or, up there at Powell, up there to make a float trip. We was coming down the back side and we had a flat tire on the back of that pickup. Lloyd, we didn't have a jack. So your dad and I got in the back of that pickup and lifted it back into that off the ground. Then he says, we need to put a rock or something underneath that axle. And so, but Lloyd, he's in the pickup holding the brakes. And it was your dad, Lloyd and I. So he said, I'll try holding the pickup while you find a rock or something. And so I slowly let go of that pickup, and that pickup did come down a fraction of an inch. He held it back in that pickup off the ground. And I went and got a rocket stuck under there, and then when we got, he got back underneath and lifted that pickup back off the rock. That guy was stout. I remember that, never forget that.
Okay, Travis, do you want to talk?
Born, she was running on the farm saying, Peter Piper's coming, Peter Piper's coming.
What am I gonna talk about?
I don't know, you want to talk?
I don't need to.
Okay.
I guess I can. So I've already talked enough. I'm Travis Bard, and Ilitha is my mom, and so I'm not going to get it all right. Lester and Leon were my great grandparents, and so Leon passed away before I was born, but I do remember being at Lester's bedside when he was really old and not doing so well. So, but anyway, that's how I kind of fit in. And then of course my wife was,
Related to the Wileys.
Related to the Wileys because of Vera. So Vera almost came today, and she probably would have enjoyed it.
I said I never dreamed I would go to one of my children's wedding and half my relatives would be on the bride's side. But they were.
And my wife and I were not related before we got married.
They weren't related.
But our families all were. So.
So I belong to Force Lee. I'm number 2. I had 4 other siblings. There were 5 of us. I have 3 children, Travis, Grant, and Abby. And Travis is the oldest, obviously. And I was expecting him when Granny passed. And all the old people in the house were like, you don't need to be in there with her with death coming because it might affect the baby. So I would go in, but I got run out real quick. And I would say, well, I would like to spend the night tonight. Oh, no, you can't do that. It might affect the baby. But I spent probably as much time with any of the grandkids with Granny and Granddad because I stayed with them a lot. I'd go home with them from church every Sunday, and Granny would explain all these things to me. And I don't remember all of them, but I also I remember Uncle Hale telling me, I don't remember Uncle Hale, but I remember her telling me when he was staying with them that she cleaned house and rearranged the furniture one day. And then Uncle Hale came in to sit down and the chair wasn't there. And so she said, I learned real fast you can't do that when a blind person lives with you. And so these are some things. Mark went through some of the old newspapers, and I saw a couple here I was going to share. There's a lot about Uncle Martin and Aunt Nellie in here. There's some about Mont. A musical, this was April 1st, 1921. A musical is given at the Mark Forbes home Friday evening, was greatly enjoyed by several young people. And then April 13th, 21, Mark Forbes lost one of his work mules several days ago. Marion Forbes would have been our Uncle Niggs, which he's in the picture that's on the wooden board back there. He said he returned home Monday from Oklahoma where he'd been working in the oil fields. This is what used to be in your newspaper, people. This was big news.
Wish it still was.
Yeah, it's better than what's in it. And here's one that, and I saw this somewhere else. Does anybody else ever remember? It says August 24th, 1923, Franklin, parentheses, Francis A. Forbes, died at his home here August 16th at the age of 84. He'd been in poor health for several months. All was done for him that loving hands could do. Besides his wife, he leaves 11 children and a number of other relatives and friends to mourn his death. Now, Reverend Charlie Hamilton made a nice talk, after which the body was laid to rest in the Owsley Cemetery Friday, August 17th, 1923. So, where does the Franklin, does anybody? But I think I have a record in some of those books that also says Franklin Francis. I mean, it was Grandpa Forbes, but I didn't know his name was ever Franklin. And here's a good one. February 14th, 1930. Mrs. Nellie Forbes seems to be our lucky housewife now, as she is the happy owner of a nice premium for being agent for Perry Mason and Company. I'm assuming that was an insurance premium. And she also, on April 4th of 1930, bought a nice incubator setting of eggs for Miss W.J. Hackney this week. And October 3rd, 1930, Miss Julia Forbes was bitten by a poisonous snake last week. Kerosene was applied freely and the poison brought out.
And Sandy, Julia had a being bitten.
By the snake. So, and then, yeah, and then, goings on in the community was kind of what it was called. All the little newspapers had them. It was interesting.
Goings on in the
January 16th, 1931. A fine baby girl made its arrival at the Mark Forbes home on January 4th. Mother and baby are fine.
Well, they've got.
And that would have been your mother.
The mother was born 12/30. She was born December 30th.
Okay, well, I don't know.
Maybe that's when she came home.
I don't know, did they have another one on January 4th?
I hope not, 'cause that would be slightly.
1931? 1931?
Good.
Born in December 30th.
30?
December
Okay.
30th.
So see,
So
there you
it could have
go.
very well been.
Just like the papers today, they just don't get everything right, do they?
That's right. There's a lot more on here if anybody wants to.
Those are the
And
neatest
it
things.
seems like my granny was the traveler. Lots of people took trips and Miss Leon Forbes went with all of them. And why Eva Mae Leon went by Leon and why George Lester went by Lester, I'll never know. Because I think George and Eva Mae are much nicer names.
Well, your dad even, Forrest Lee.
Well, who wants to go by Forrest?
Oh, that's a great name.
Well, I went to see Joanne in the hospital one time, and, I asked for Joanne in the hospital, they said, we don't have a Joanne, her name was Ethel Joanne.
Her first name was Ethel, and she never went to